The Shadow build is here, and this build is absolutely insane. I went through and I killed all the bosses solo, no problems there. Went through, did high nightmare dungeons, also no problems there. I was doing a 92 and didn't have any issues at all. The only time I died was because I ignored a blood boil while I was killing an elite, and the blood boil one-shot me because that's what blood boil do. Anyways, yeah, the build is insane, so let's hop right into the gear. So we have a Godslayer helm because it's going to make it so whenever you stun an elite enemy or damage a boss, it's going to pull in nearby enemies and you deal increased damage to them for 3 seconds, 30 to 60% multiplicative. For the chest, I put on Explosive Mist. So whenever you're in your Blood Mist, you're going to pop Corpse Explosions, which also reduces the cooldown of Blood Mist. So your Blood Mist will come up faster so you can avoid more damage if need be. On the gloves, I threw in Osseous Gale, which makes so your Bone Storm consumes up to 8 nearby corpses to increase its duration by 10 seconds. So your Bone Storm is going to last an extremely long time. Shielding Storm on the pants makes so that your Bone Storm is going to give you a barrier for 5% of your base life per enemy hit. So if you have a huge pack of elites and you pop Bone Storm before jumping into them, you're going to basically get an entire barrier for your health pool in about 1 to 2 seconds. And then it's going to be extremely hard for you to actually die. On the gloves, we went with Ghostwalker like every other Necro build out there because we need that movement speed. We're going to get Unstoppable for 4 seconds from a Vampiric Power, and it will also give you the 4 seconds after the Unstoppable of the movement speed. So you're going to get 8 seconds of 10 to 25% increased movement speed. This is wicked sick. Also try to get movement speed on your boots, and if possible, a movement speed when killing an elite is also going to help to give you even more go-go juice. On the wand, we threw on Sacrificial. Since we are not using our minions, we might as well get as much juice as we can out of those guys and really ramp up our damage. Onto the amulet, we threw on Blighted, so you're going to deal 180% multiplicative increased damage for 6 seconds after the Shadow Blight key passive damages enemies 10 times. Now, this is constantly happening, so you're going to sit on a constant 180% increased damage. This is probably the most overpowered aspect for this build outside of the Lidless Wall, which is your shield, which we'll get to in a second. We have Ultimate Shadow onto the ring, and it's going to make it so your Bone Storm is going to do shadow damage, which will then be proccing more Shadow Blights. This is absolutely insane, and all of these will pair together with the other two over here to give you just a lot of damage and a lot of uptime. Finally, we have you deal 25% increased damage while you have a barrier, which we're getting from our Bone Storm. So Bone Storm is really being affected by 5 different aspects right here. And let's make it 6 because why not? So Lidless Wall is going to make it so while you have an active Bone Storm, hitting an enemy outside of a Bone Storm has a 5 to 25% chance to spawn an additional Bone Storm, but you get 25% chance per sacrificed minion. We have all 3 sacrificed, so that's a 75% bonus increase. So with me, I'm at 95%. If you can get a perfect roll, it will be 100% chance. So this is pretty cool. Also, it increases the amount of additional Bone Storms you can have by 1, so you can have a total of 4 active Bone Storms. So let's go really quick. Book of the Dead. We're going to do the Reapers for more shadow damage, sacrifice the Mages for more vulnerable damage, and we're going to sacrifice the Golem for more health. Now, if you do have an X-Files ring, I would replace the conceded band, so get rid of the barrier damage for the X-Files ring because that'll be a huge damage increase as well. And for your Book of the Dead, you're going to now sacrifice the Iron Golem for the critical strike damage. Let's go into Vampiric Powers. So we're going to have Metamorphosis, which will give you Unstoppable for 4 seconds, which is going to give you your movement speed. And it's also going to Vampiric Curse any enemy that it touches and do a little bit of damage. We're not really worried about the damage so much as we are the Unstoppable and the Vampiric Curse. Now, the Vampiric Curse is going to pair with Prey on the Weak, which makes so enemies that are affected by a Vampiric Curse from your other powers, which is Metamorphosis, are going to be permanently vulnerable. And you're going to do 16% increased damage to them. This is a huge combo. Next up is Hemomancy, and this makes so your attacks deal 80% of your maximum life as physical damage to nearby enemies once every 4 seconds. And you're going to heal for 1% of your max life for each enemy that's hit. So it's a nice little heal, but it's going to do a crap ton of damage. So the more health you have, the more damage this is going to just do. And I'm pretty sure this can crit, but I'm not really focused on crit anyways. Flowing Veins is going to make it so you deal 60% increased damage over time to enemies that are moving or afflicted by Vampiric Curse. So these 3 right here are synergizing to just give us a huge chunk of free damage. And then finally, Anticipation. So your ultimate skills gain 20% cooldown, and they do 12% multiplicative increased damage for each enemy affected by shadow damage over time, which they're going to be getting from literally all of your abilities. Let's hop into the abilities real quick and pop with skill tree. So Reap into Acolyte's Reap. So it's going to get you a free corpse once every 4 seconds, and this is going to make it so whenever you use Reap, you get a 15% damage reduction for 2 seconds. This next part, we're going to grab Hued Flesh, 3 points in it, ignore everything else because we're not using core skills. Max out Blood List, go up and grab Ghastly Blood Mist to leave behind corpses as you're blood misting. And remember, your Blood Mist is also going to explode these corpses with Corpse Explosion, max that out as well, and grab Blighted Corpse Explosion to put darkness on the ground. This is going to just be a lot of free shadow damage. 1 point into Grim Harvest because we're not really worried about Essence, but we do want the 3 points into Fueled by Death to increase your damage. 3 points into Death's Embrace is going to make you do more damage to close enemies and take less damage, and since we're constantly going to be evading through enemies to put up Vampiric Curse anyways, we might as well have this damage for we might as well have these points just to increase our damage. 3 points into Amplify damage, so anything that gets cursed by Decrepify is going to just take 12% increased damage. Grab up Horrid Decrepify to increase your cooldown reduction. We're going to put in 1 point into Corpse Tendrils and then come up to grab Blighted Corpse Tendrils so that you have a chance to drop a Blood Orb every time you Corpse Tendrils. We no longer need to have Plague Corpse Tendrils since we are getting it through Metamorphosis. 3 points into Necrotic Carapace so that you get a whole bunch of free Fortify whenever a corpse is formed. 3 points into Reaper's Pursuit, Gloom, and Terror. And on your amulet, try to get either Terror or Gloom, preferably Gloom, because technically it is going to be more damage. However, mine only got Terror, so I'm still looking up for Gloom. 1 point into Crippling Darkness, because it's going to help you stagger bosses a little bit faster. We're sacrificing minions, so grab Standalone and Memento Mori. Bone Storm into Prime Bone Storm. We're not going to grab Supreme Bone Storm since I don't have the X-Falls Ring. If you do have X-Falls Ring, take 1 point out of Blood Mist. It's going to reduce the cooldown by literally about half a second, and then put in your Supreme Bone Storm since you will be able to have shadow damage critting because of the X-Falls. And then finally we're going to grab Shadow Blight because this is the meat and potatoes of our build. Here's my skill assignments if you care, but that's just where I place them on my bar. On to the Paragon. So for the starter board, we're going to throw in Amplify damage. It's going to turn all these blue nodes into better blue nodes is really all it does. And enemies afflicted by curses is going to take 10% increased damage from you and your minions. So we don't have minions, but 10% increased damage from your curses. That's pretty good. Next board, we're going to grab Wither because this is absolutely insane. Basically, it's going to make it with my current intelligence, so it's a little over 600 because it gets increased by every 60 intelligence. Your shadow damage over time effects have a 15% chance to deal 90% multiplicative bonus damage each time they deal damage. So this is pretty huge. Going to go up and grab Control Glyph because we're constantly CCing mobs with Corpse Tendrils, which puts a stun on them. So you're going to get the 75% damage increase as well as the 20% multiplier on top of that because they will be frozen. So you're definitely going to want Control here and work your way up first. This is actually the 5th board, so don't worry about that right now. Next board, we're going to grab Flesh Eater. So after you consume 5 corpses, 40% increased damage. We're going to throw in Imbiber here so that you get damage while healthy, which you're constantly going to have Barrier on you and Fortify, and you're going to be spawning Blood Orbs. So you're going to constantly be healthy, and you're not really going to be worried about taking too much damage anyways. So this is just going to give you a whole bunch of free damage. Make sure you grab the Resistance node and the Damage to Elite node. Next up, we're going to grab Scent of Death. So whenever at least 2 corpses are nearby, you're going to get 15% damage reduction, and if there's none nearby, you get 15% damage increase. Since you're evading through them constantly and popping corpses like crazy, you're going to actually be rotating between these buffs at a very consistent basis. So you're going to constantly be 15% damage reduction as well as 15% damage increase literally just a couple seconds later. In this board, we're going to put in the brand new glyph, Exhumation, which is going to make it so we do increased corpse skill damage, and consuming a corpse was going to fortify us and grant us damage reduction. So this is insane. It's just a lot of free fortify, free damage reduction, and a lot of just free damage on our corpse explosion. All right, and for the 5th and final board, we are going to grab Bloodbath. It's going to obviously not be taken because we just want the glyph slot, and it is the closest glyph slot to the entrance node. So in here, we're going to put Territorial. It's going to make so you're going to do increased damage to close enemies, which will constantly be close to them anyway, since we kind of want our Bone Storm on top of their heads. And make sure you come up and grab Harden because it's going to give you damage roll fortified, which you're going to constantly be fortified anyways. So that is it. As you finish out those 5 boards, then you can start putting points in down here and grabbing, max life, the damage, the all res, and anywhere else you can find, shadow damage here. If you're lacking on like maybe something like poison resist, you can work your way down here. You can work more over here for damage to injured enemies. You can just kind of branch out where as needed and work your way from there. but that is where I'm currently sitting on this build. I've been having so much fun. I'm going to throw in footage at the end of the 92 Nightmare Dungeon so you can actually see the build in action. I'm actually going to take this build to 100. I do have 2 Scrolls of Amnesia, so once I hit 100, I will probably make a new build. I might try out Bone Spear. I haven't done that since the initial launch of the game before Season 1, so I might give Bone Spear a go just to see how it plays now in Season 2 after all the nerfs it's taken. And yeah, but I'll also be re-rolling a new class soon, so if there's any class in particular you want to see builds from, let me know. Yeah, thanks for watching. Check out the footage in a second here, and have a wonderful day.
I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I need more time. I need more time. I need more time. I need more time. I'm not ready yet. I need more time. ready yet. I need more time. I'm not ready yet. 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 I need more time.